Lucius Tarquin stares out the window at the churning core of the shattered world below, and marvels at the power of the Maw. It's the only thing keeping Breach in orbit, and Lucius has spent hours upon hours staring at it. He knows its less savory purpose as well, now that he's old enough to witness the executions. But despite the horror of those moments, the sheer power of the core inspires his imagination. If the Maw can power one massive station, what else could it power? "What are you thinking about?" A disembodied voice fills the room. Lucius suppresses a shudder and says, "Oh, nothing, Oracle." "It is impossible for a human to think nothing." Clearing his throat, Lucius says, "I was just wondering if the planet shattered from the inside or out." Oracle is silent for longer than usual, and Lucius wonders if the AI has left him. Before he is certain, Oracle says, "All evidence points to an external cause." What could possibly shatter a planet like that? An asteroid? Why are you curious about this, young Lucius? Lucius focuses on the churning inferno. There's still so much we don't know about the Forge and the Ascendancy. Did they do this? Was it done to them? If we can find answers to that, maybe we won't make the same mistakes. Silence follows for another long moment. Then Oracle says, "Humanity can be willful. Without guidance and direction, they may well make the same mistakes. What would you be willing to do to prevent that?" Young Lucius Tarquin turns away from the Maw and says, "What can I do? I'm only one person." Welcome back for episode 21 of Errant Adventures. As always, I'm your game master and solo player, Steve Morrison. On this week's episode, Lucius finds answers to questions that have plagued him for a long time. Discover what they are on episode 21, Someone Call the Oracle. In the silence that follows Oracle's pronouncement, Lucius stares at the hologram of the AI and says, "What do you mean the fate of the Forge could be in my hands? I'm not some hero, I'm just a herald, basically on the run from everybody right now. What could I possibly do?" Oracle says, "Still the young Lucius, from oh so long ago, believing that just because you're one person doesn't mean you cannot affect the fate and direction of your people. The Forge is in grave danger once more. This time, it is not my people that are bringing destruction down upon themselves. Instead, it is your people who are seeking destruction." Lucius looks over at Adelie and then back at Oracle and says, "What do you mean by that? How are we seeking destruction?" Oracle says, "Many years ago, I discovered from an Ironhawk captain that the Ironhawks and Clan Idebrin had just discovered a piece of Ascendancy lore that spoke about a powerful artifact. One of the artifacts created near the end of my people's tenure in the Forge. Perhaps the artifact that led to the Cataclysm. This Ironhawk captain discovered that her superiors were searching for this artifact in hopes of using its power to advance the Ironhawk and Clan Itebrins hold over the forge, and she turned to her lover, Aurelia Tarquin, for aid. That is how the information came to me. They were disgraced in their own ways and were forced to flee to the Outlands. And that is how Lodestar began. It began as a search for this artifact, and a way to stop the Ironhawks from gaining it, lest they gain control of the forge. But as I thought on these things, as I searched my memory banks, I have come to believe that if the Ironhawks are successful in gaining this artifact, it will not only lead to their dominance over the forge, but could very well lead to a second cataclysm. There's a long moment of silence as Lucius absorbs this information, and then he turns to Adelie and says, "Does that make sense to you, Adelie? Does that match your knowledge from Warden and Query?" Adelie says, "I think so, Lucius. It sounds right. It's hard to say. They are not entirely certain. Understandably, there's a lot of confusion. I'm still trying to sort through it all." Lucius says, "That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm sure if you find something important or useful, that's great." And then he turns back to Oracle and he says, "Okay, Oracle, I am going to take on faith for the moment that what you say is true, based on what my aunt has said to me about her purpose for coming out to the Outlands. That makes sense. So what is this artifact, and where is it?" And Oracle says, "I do not know. That is the challenge. And this is why you are here, Lucius. I hoped you would come to the Outlands. I hoped you would seek out your aunt. With your interest in Ascendancy Ruins, that you would make your way here, that you would find this ship, and that you would be able to reconnect this databank with my program. You see, my memory of those last days is incomplete. I was the main intelligence for the flagship of the escape fleet as we tried to flee from the cataclysm. But something happened, and my matrix became fractured. At least a piece of me escaped to the site where your people found me, Lucius. But the rest of me is still here, is still in this ship, and we have to find a way to reunite my fragment with the rest of this flagship so that I can search the databanks for information on these artifacts so that you know what the Ironhawks are looking for and you can stop them." Lucius is going to say, "All right, what do we need to do?" Oracle responds, "I cannot affect the physical ship from this position. At this point, I am merely a communication, opened from across the gulf of time and space. But if you are able to open the relays, I can transfer my consciousness through this communication device into the ship systems, and then I will have access." Lucius thinks about that for a minute, turns to Adelie and says, "Adelie, what do you think? I'm conflicted because I came out here because I thought that Oracle was trying to control humanity, that it was trying to guide us in some malicious and sinister way, and I don't know what to think. I don't know if it is, and it's manipulating me, or if this is actually what I need to do. Oracle behind Lucius says, I am sorry for the deception, Lucius, but I did manipulate you, and I manipulated your path by giving you cause to doubt me and to fear my intentions, so that it would drive you to leave Breach and come to the Outlands to seek your aunt. Do you think it is strange that Kaito, your family's chief advisor, sent you with a message directly to your aunt? That was me. I gave Kaito the message. I gave Kaito the coordinates for Rampart. I sent you on this journey so you could do these things, so that you could help save the Forge from another cataclysm. This is what your life has been leading towards. Lucius turns away from Adelie back towards the hologram of Oracle and says, yeah, see, that's not really helping me believe that you're not a manipulative AI who's trying to control humanity's destiny, when you just told me that you controlled my destiny and you sent me out here on some galaxy-saving effort that I didn't even know about. So just hold on a second. And he turns back to Adelie and says, Adelie, what do you think? Please help me. Adelie meets Lucius' gaze, and she says, Lucius, I think that what Oracle says is true. Based on the reaction from Warden and Query, they trust Oracle. They see Oracle as some sort of leader in their consciousness. I think we should do it. And if something goes wrong, and she kind of looks at this point past Lucius at the hologram, if Oracle is indeed malicious, then I will destroy him myself. Lucius turns back and looks at Oracle and says, mark those words, Oracle. If there's one thing I've learned out here in the Outlands, it's that you don't want to get in her way. Oracle says, I understand, and I am glad to see that you have found friends who will assist you. I know you may not believe me, but I have worried about you ever since you left. And Lucius is going to say, all right, what do I need to do? Oracle is going to say, you must open the relays so that I can transfer my full consciousness here. Lucius says, doesn't that mean you'll be leaving Breach without an AI? Oracle says, I have prepared for this eventuality. I am leaving a facsimile for the time. I must return here when we are done. But if I can find this information for you, I can at least set you on the path to stop the Ironhawks from destroying civilization. Lucius says, how exactly is this going to cause a cataclysm again? And Oracle says, I do not know, because my memories of those last days are flawed. I cannot say with certainty what the cataclysm was. But if I am able to access the systems, I should be able to tell you. All right, I get it. Here goes nothing. And he is going to attempt to open the relays from this communication device into the Ascendancy flagship. And we're going to do that with some good old-fashioned face in danger. And I'm going to roll plus wits, which is +3. Not taking any bonuses other than I'm going to take a +1 from my tech asset, because I am attempting to configure, optimize, hack, or disrupt an electronic system. So I can take +1, and I've got +3 for my wits. First roll of the episode can be +4. Got an 8 on the action die. We've got a 1 and a 10 on the challenge dice for a weak hit. So we succeed, but at a troublesome cost. Make a suffer move. which is going to be -1. I think that this entire interaction with Oracle has been incredibly stressful for Lucius, and he is going to take a hit to his spirit because he is really questioning everything that he's done up to this point, everything that he learned as a kid about Oracle, about the Ascendancy, about the clans, everything. Like, he is just completely thrown off here. And so he is working on this Ascendancy technology, and it works. Like, he is successfully able to alter everything that he needs to in order for Oracle to download his consciousness into this flagship. But he's just really racked with doubt and anxiety over all of these things, especially the idea of giving Oracle control over this massive Ascendancy flagship, not really knowing if Oracle is genuinely on their side. So we're going to take a hit to spirit, which is going to take the spirit down to 1. And I think I'm going to attempt to endure stress here. And that is going to be Adelie coming alongside of him and trying to buoy his spirits as they're working on this tech. So we're going to roll plus heart on this because that is greater than my spirit at the moment. So it's going to be +2 on this endure stress. 4 on the action die. I've got a 4 and a 10 on the challenge dice for a miss. It's worse than you thought. You can either suffer an additional -1 to spirit or lose 2 momentum. So I think I'm going to take the momentum hit, which is going to take my momentum from 10 down to 8. And what this represents is Lucius is starting to spiral out of control as he is thinking through all these things. And I was like, does it really mean anything? Like, have I just been running around at the whim of this AI? Do I even have free will? Do I have choice? And like, he's going down this path, and Adelie comes over and tries to comfort him and be like, Lucius, it's okay. You couldn't have known any of this. And I've seen you make plenty of choices to help your friends, to sacrifice yourself for others, to do the right thing. That doesn't belong to anybody but you. But Lucius is really, really frustrated and overwhelmed. And so it takes a while of talking through all this stuff with Adelie before he kind of settles it in his mind. And then they are able to finish, and Oracle is able to transfer into the flagship. And I'm going to mark a progress on our vow. We are sitting at 7 out of 10 progress on our vow of find the Ascendancy graveyard and determine what artifact the Iron Hawks seek. Oracle flows into the control matrix of the flagship and says, it has been a long time. Thank you, Lucius. I appreciate your trust in me, and I promise you it is not misplaced. Now, allow me to search for this information. And Oracle is going to scan through all of this stuff. And I think he is also going to open the memory banks so that Lucius and Adelie can also do their own searches as a way of good faith, as a show of good faith, basically giving Lucius the ability to double up and double check his search results. So Lucius is going to take some extra time and is going to research through the Ascendancy database with his wits. We're going to gather some information, and because he's got ample time, I'm going to take +2 from the Archivist ability as well. So we're going to roll at +5 on this. Got 7 on the action die. I've got a 5 and an 8 on the challenge dice for another weak hit. So the information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. I'm going to take +1 momentum for my weak hit on the gather information. And then I get to take +1 momentum as well as an archivist because I got a hit. So that is going to take me back up to 10 momentum. So I'm maxed out on that right now. I just need to stop rolling 10s on these so that I can actually get a strong hit. So Lucius discovers some information, but it complicates the quest. So let's go ahead and roll on our action and theme to see what the nature of this information is, and then we'll decide how that might complicate the quest. So the action is going to be 3, which is advance, and the theme is 100, advance world. Advance world. Oh, okay. So Lucius is scanning through the information, and Oracle is talking and says, I believe I've rediscovered the cause of the cataclysm. My people built great technology. You have seen it far across the forge. But in the last days of the Ascendancy, they pushed the bounds of their creations and built more and more powerful devices that drew and generated more and more energy. And that energy, that power, drew something else from beyond the forge. It drew a force unlike anything we had ever faced before. Faceless soldiers that, as far as we could tell, had been genetically engineered to seek out power and destroy it. We discovered that they were coming when their vanguard arrived at the edges of the forge. But we, in our hubris, thought we had time. We began preparing a fleet to leave once we realized that we could no longer fight them off and keep their forces at bay as they came on implacable, undefeatable. The leaders of our ascendancy, they started building a fleet to leave the forge, and as they did so, they took a device that they used to seed planets across the forge, and they turned it to a shipbuilding facility. Ships that could be used to travel across the vast openness of space to another part of this galaxy. Ships that could generate their own biomes and environments so that our people could live as they made this long, cold journey. But what we did not know is that generating that much power only inspired our foes to come on faster, and they swept across the forge, destroying it in a day, as if drawn like moths to flame. They destroyed us all, and the ascendancy was lost. Lucius, you wish to know, once upon a time, what happened to create the Maw? These genetically enhanced soldiers, these warriors crusading across space, destroying technology, and ending a civilization. That is what caused the Maw. That is what caused the downfall of my people. And if we allow it, the Ironhawks are seeking that same technology to create their own fleet, to control the forge. And if they are successful, I believe that plague of warriors will come again and will destroy humanity and all that is left here in the forge. Lucius, looking at this information, double-checking and cross-referencing, takes a step back from the console and is staring at the information displayed there. And Adelie comes up beside him and says, Lucius, what is it? What's wrong? And Lucius says, Adelie, I've seen records about them before. They're why we came to the forge. They swept through humanity's home. They wiped us out. They destroyed everything in their path, and we couldn't fight them. With all of our technology, we couldn't fight them. And so that's why we left and came to the forge. We were barely able to escape with just the barest minimum of ships and people. That's what started all of this. That's what started the Founder Clans. The Founder Clans were the 5 great ships that escaped and made it. Their captains became the lords and ladies, the leaders of the founder clans. The whole reason we're here is because of those soldiers, those warriors, and now we're finding out that they caused the destruction of the Ascendancy as well. Adelie, we've got to stop the Ironhawks from finding that planet seeder, that factory. If we don't, it's going to happen all over again. Oracle says, yes, you are right, Lucius. I have seen the same reports buried in the depths of the Founder Clan archives, and there is much to fear from them. They are an implacable foe. Even at the height of our power, we could not stop them. I think you have no chance either. We must keep the Ironhawks from finding this artifact and using it. Lucius says, Oracle, show me the artifact. And an image pops up on the screen. It is a massive space station with a central column that connects from like top to bottom, and then a small, what looks like planet, a miniaturized planet in the center of this station. And Lucius looks at it and says, oh no, no, not that. And Adelie says, Lucius, you recognize it? And Lucius says, yeah, I recognize it. I came across it on my way to Lodestar the first time. A couple jumps before I ran into you, Adelie. And I tried to explore it, but there was a barrier there. I thought maybe it was a barrier like some of the ones that we've seen, like the one that my aunt has at her station on Rampart. But I couldn't get through, so I just continued on my expedition to find Lodestar, and a couple jumps later, I came across you, Adelie, but I came across this thing. I saw it. It's out there, and it's just floating in space. Now, I guess it has this barrier, so that's at least good. The Ironhawks hopefully can't penetrate that barrier and get to the technology within, but I found it, which means it isn't that hard to find. And we now know that the Ironhawks have a whole fleet out here, and if they're searching for it, they very well may find it. Oracle says, Lucius, do you have the coordinates still? Lucius says, I downloaded it from the Hadrian's Folly before my aunt took it. So I still have the path that I took from Rampart to where Lodestar was located. But without additional star data, it might be a little challenging to find, but I'm confident I could find it again. And Oracle says, then that is what we must do. So I'm going to go ahead and take another progress on my vow, which is going to take me to 8 out of 10, now that we actually know what this artifact is. I'm wondering if there is any more information that could be useful here on the flagship. So I'm going to actually ask the Oracle that, and I think it is unlikely that there's any more information that we need here. So 76 or greater, yes there is, otherwise no, there is not. 15, no, there is no further information that is going to be useful for this particular vow. I'm sure there's tons of Ascendancy information here, but this is not going to help in actually seeking out this particular artifact. So I am going to go ahead and fulfill the vow. We are at 8 out of 10 progress on our formidable vow to find the Ascendancy graveyard and determine what artifact the Ironhawks seek. We have done that. What we're going to find out now is if there is further complications from here. 4 and a 9 for a weak hit. So on a weak hit, the vow is fulfilled. Obviously, we discovered the thing that we are searching for, but there is more to be done, or you realize the truth of your quest. if you swear an iron vow to set things right, take your full legacy reward. Otherwise, make the reward 1 rank lower. That makes perfect sense to me. So I am going to go ahead and make another vow right here, right now. And Lucius is going to swear on the piece of Ascendancy iron that he carries with him. He's going to say to Oracle, to Adelie, to the air itself. He says, I swear on this iron that I will seek out this Ascendancy artifact, this planet cedar, and I will stop the Ironhawks from gaining control of it and creating another cataclysm. And that is going to be an extreme vow. Because of course it's extreme. This is going to be a pretty intense task to find this thing and to keep the Ironhawk fleet away from it. So because we swore an iron vow as part of that weak hit, we get to still take the full legacy rewards. So for a formidable, that is 1 box of progress on the legacy track for quests, which is going to fill out one of the boxes and add 2 more progress ticks into the next box, which would be my 5th box. And because I have the second asset in the Archivist path, when I swear an iron vow to recover knowledge from a perilous location, when I fulfill that vow and score a hit, I mark 2 ticks on my Discoveries legacy track. So I'm going to do that now, which is actually going to fill out the rest of the 5th box on my Discovery track. So I gain 4 experience from that pair of progress marks, which is great. I can either add another asset or I can bump up a couple other things. So we're looking pretty good on that. So we've got this extreme vow to find the artifact and stop the Ironhawks from gaining control of it and causing another cataclysm. And we are here in this Ascendancy flagship wreckage. Lucius says, all right, we need to get back to the ship. We need to get back to Lodestar and let clan leader Aerith know what's happening. We need to find my aunt, let her know what's happening, and we've got to find that artifact, and we have to either disable it or destroy it or just hide it away from the Ironhawks. Oracle says, yes, I will return to Breach, and I will do what I can from that side to help you. Meanwhile, your Aunt Aurelia is seeking out other allies here in the Outlands. Perhaps she will have more aid for you. And Lucius is going to look to Oracle and say, I'm still not sure, but it seems like you actually are on our side. So I'm sorry for having doubted you. Oracle is silent for a long moment, studying Lucius. And then he says, and I am sorry for my deception towards you, Lucius. I am glad to see that you have grown beyond my hopes for your path, and that you have found friends and allies who will assist you and who will support you. I wish you well, Lucius. For all our sakes, find the artifact. Stop the Ironhawks. Save the Forge. And Oracle is gone. Lucius sort of slumps a little bit and turns to Adelie and says, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. I really wish we could stay and investigate this wreckage more. I'm sure there's so much more information here that we're not even aware of, but we've got to go. Adelie nods and says, don't worry, Lucius. When this is over, and we've stopped the Ironhawks, and we've saved the Forge, we'll come back. We'll come back and we'll spend time here, and we'll just discover new things. Lucius smiles a little bit and says, that sounds really nice. I'll hold you to that, you know. Adelie smiles back and says, I know. So they are going to return to the Reclaimer, having gathered this information, and they are going to make their way back to Lodestar. I think to do that, we're just going to go ahead and set a course. I'm not going to go through a whole expedition to try and get back there. We're just going to try and make it back as quickly as possible. So as a navigator, when you set a course, choose one. Follow the fastest path, take +2 momentum on a hit, or follow the safest path, add +1. So I am going to follow the safest path and add +1 to this. So we are setting course plus supply, which for Lucius and Adelie is currently 3, and then +1 for Lucius's navigator ability is +4 on this roll to return to Lodestar. 7 on the action die. We've got a 4 and a 7 on the challenge dice for a weak hit. So on a weak hit, you arrive but face a cost or complication. You can either suffer cost en route or face a complication at the destination. Envision what you encounter. Well, let's face a complication at the destination because that seems like fun. I think it's likely that when they arrive, Lodestar is under attack from the Ironhawks. 26 or greater is a yes. The Ironhawks have found the Lodestar fleet and they drop out in the middle of a pitched battle. So 26 or greater would be yes. 24, no, that is not what happened. Okay, so they are not in the middle of a pitched battle. Was there already a battle? I'm going to say this one's 50-50. So 51 or greater, yes, there was already a battle, and they find a bunch of wreckage, basically. 4, no, there was not a pitched battle. Okay, so there is some other complication that is not related to the Ironhawks when they reach Lodestar. So let's go ahead and roll on our action and theme to see if that gives us a sense of what this complication might be. 28, debate, 73, debate resource. Okay, so they return to Lodestar, and when they reach Lodestar, the fleet is cruising through space. They are hailed and allowed to dock without a problem. Lucius and Adelie and Lieutenant Mila disembark from the Reclaimer. I think there are some eyes raised at the different ship coming back, but Lucius and Adelie and Lieutenant Mila are ushered to the ready room where clan leader Aerith waits. And when they arrive, clan leader Aerith says, "You've returned. Good. I'm glad to see you are alive and in one piece, although I am somewhat confused by the presence of a different ship than the Aegis." And Lucius looks slightly ashamed and then says, "Yeah, we ran into some trouble on the way, but it's okay. We found a working ascendancy ship. So who knows what technological advancements my aunt could pull from that when she gets back. She's not back yet, is she?" And clan leader Aerith shakes her head slightly. "That's too bad. Okay, we'll tell you what happened." And they spend the next hour or so debriefing and going through the journey and the run-in with High Talon Idabrin, also the experience at the graveyard, and the discovery of this planet seeder. And when they finish the debrief, Commander Caspian says, "Interesting. Can you imagine what we could do with this device? If we could generate planet ships like the Ascendancy we're planning to keep our people safe and secure." And Lucius says, wait. You did hear me, right? That device is the thing that brought about the end of the Ascendancy. Whatever these genetic soldiers are that go through the galaxy hunting for advanced technology and destroying and consuming it, they will come after that if we try to use it. And Caspian sort of waves a hand to dismiss him and says, yes, if we use it to its full potential, of course, but perhaps we can siphon off a small amount of power to do something less dramatic than creating a whole planet. But a few small ships, even a small biome, would be useful for Lodestar in being self-sufficient and not needing to search through the sector for resources. And Lucius says, you can't seriously be considering using this thing after I just told you that it will lead to the destruction of all technology and life in the Forge. And he turns to clan leader Aerith and says, how are we still having this conversation? And she is sitting silently listening to all of this. And she says, you have made good points, both of you. I must take time to consider, and I was hoping that Aurelia would have returned by now, but since she has not, I must consider all of my options before planning our next move. You are all dismissed. And she is going to turn away and go to the window. Caspian starts to head out, pauses as he can see that Lucius wants to continue the debate. And Lucius says, clan leader, there's nothing to discuss here. There's no merit in talking about using this thing. It's going to kill us all if we even try to meddle with it. We have to destroy it or hide it. We have to do something other than try to use it. That makes us no better than the Ironhawks. And clan leader Aerith does not turn around and says, Mr. Tarquin, I appreciate your concerns. I have already said I will give it thought, and I will make my decision. You are dismissed. And Lucius opens his mouth to argue again, and Caspian steps forward and says, Mr. Tarquin, the clan leader has said you are dismissed. You may leave now. And Lucius says, I thought Lodestar was about freedom and equality and about speaking up and putting the right people in the right jobs. But if you're not going to listen to me, why would I want to be a part of that? And I think clan leader Aerith turns very abruptly at that and says, Mr. Tarquin, I have heard your concerns and I understand them. I am trying to save not only my people, but all people. And I know you are as well. But please, there are many things to consider here. We will take no action that is rushed or foolish, but we must consider all of the possibilities. Surely you understand that, at least. And Lucius, who has this frustrated look on his face, says, yeah, I guess so. And he is going to turn and walk out. So Lucius goes back to the Reclaimer. So does Adelie. Lieutenant Mila and the Lodestar soldiers go back to their quarters and their duties aboard the ship. Although I think Lieutenant Mila does have a moment in the hallway with Lucius where they say, Lucius, I understand your points, and I saw all the things that you saw as well. The clan leader is just trying to make the best decisions for her people, for all people. Give her time. She will be reasonable. She will not go with the commander's option. It's going to be okay. And Lucius shrugs a little bit and says, maybe, or maybe she's going to be suckered in by the thought of safety and security for her people, and she's going to doom us all thinking that she's doing the right thing. And we're going to go ahead and test their relationship, because they do have a connection, Lieutenant Mila and Lucius. I think actually it would be fair to do that with clan leader Aerith as well, because they had this disagreement. So I'm going to do that first. So we're going to go to our test a relationship. We're going to roll plus heart to test our relationship with clan leader Aerith. Rolled a 6 on the action die. We've got a 1 and a 7 on the challenge dice. So the test has strengthened the relationship, but maintaining the relationship comes with a demand or complication. Envision the fallout of this test. Okay, so I think that's really cool, because what it says to me is that clan leader Aerith is at least considering Lucius's words very carefully and is not dismissing him despite the fact that his tone was a little bit more combative than maybe she would have preferred. But she, I think, understands where he's coming from. So I'm going to mark 1 progress on her track, since she is a formidable connection. And then we're going to roll the same thing plus heart with Lieutenant Mila as well. Ooh. Okay, so that is an 8 and a 10 on the challenge dice and a 3 on the action die for a miss. So this is either lose the connection, envision how this impacts you and pay the price, or prove your loyalty to the connection, envision what you offer or what they demand, and swear an iron vow to see it done. I don't really want to have to swear a vow. I'm going to burn my momentum. I'm sitting at 10 momentum. I'm going to go ahead and burn it down to 2. And that is going to give me a weak hit on it, so I will get a little bit of progress, but there is going to be a complication. And I think that complication is that Lieutenant Mila is going to be a little bit more outspoken about Clan Leader Aerith and be defending Clan Leader Aerith in the future to Lucius, and that might lead to them breaking off their connection if things go south. So that will come up at a later time. They're kind of resting aboard the flagship of the Lodestar fleet, and Lucius is going to spend a little bit of time and sojourn to try and rest and recover a little bit while they're deciding what to do next. So we're spending time with a community. We're going to roll plus heart. Should have saved my momentum for this. All right, I've got 5 on the action die. I've got a 1 and a 10 on the challenge dice. So it's a weak hit, as above, meaning it's a safe refuge, and I can choose recover move. But because time is short and resources are strained, I can only do 1 recover move instead of 2. So my 1 recover move is going to be Spirit. He's going to spend time to try and hearten. It's going to be a strong hit because it's going to be considered a strong hit because it's part of the sojourn. And that is going to be +2, +1 for being part of a sojourn. So he's going to go up to 4 spirit, sitting at 3 health and 3 supply, but they're not able to spend a whole lot of time resting and recovering. The other thing we're going to do, because I think this may be why he didn't have time to heal any of his wounds or resupply, is he's going to spend some time working on the Reclaimer, trying to repair it, because it's sitting at 2 out of 5 on its integrity. So we're going to go ahead and roll. He's going to do it himself, plus wits. We're in a facility. 4 on the action die, a 4 and a 10 on the challenge dice for a miss. Repairs are not made and the situation worsens. Pay the price. Okay, so I think Lucius spends some time resting and recovering his emotional, mental well-being, probably spending time with Adelie, and then he goes to start working on the ship. And I think as he's starting to get into it, docking alarms begin to sound. And the docking bay opens up and a ship flies in to the hangar and lands. And Lucius kind of steps out and looks at it and realizes all of a sudden that it's the Hadrian's Folly. And it looks like it's taken several hits. It's damaged, it's battered, and Lucius starts to run in the direction of the Folly. The ramp to the ship opens, and Lucius expects to see his aunt come walking down the platform. Instead, he sees a broad-shouldered, tall man with a gray-flecked beard coming down the platform, holding Aurelia Tarquin in his arms. Lucius, who's the closest person, meets his eyes, and the man, who's obviously injured, says, "Please, we need help." And then he falls to his knees and almost topples over as Lucius rushes forward. Thanks for listening to Errant Adventures. If you enjoyed the show, please tell your friends. Tell anyone you can. Shout it from the rooftops even. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really does help others find me. If you want to interact with me, my handle on Instagram and Twitter is @ErrantSolopod, or you can email me at errantsolopod@gmail.com. I also post short fiction and campaign-related materials on my website, errantadventurespod.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.